Welcome to day 58. So what we're starting to really look at now is the world as an illusion, the world as a distraction from God. But it's really important to know that the world can have another purpose too. And that other purpose is that the world is our spiritual path, that we use the world as our path to God. So really, the world can be the distraction that keeps us asleep in the dream, or the world can be that which is used to awaken us to truth. That's what we're beginning to look at now. I want to share one of the readings that we went over this week. I want to share from that reading. This was NTI Matthew 21, verses 23 to 27 to the end of the chapter. This starts on the top of page 44. You must look at your faith and see where you are placing it before you can choose to place it with me. Many believe they have placed their faith in God, when truly they have placed their faith in men and the world. Where we're choosing to place our faith is a big part of what is going to make the world a distraction for us, or what is going to make the world our spiritual path. This says that we have to look at our faith and we want to look honestly, where am I putting my faith now? So for example, do I think that my security comes from my job, my spouse, my social security check, the stock market? Or do I really trust God to take care of me regardless of what happens in those other situations? This is the type of thing we want to start looking at. Where am I putting my faith? And one way you can find out where you're putting your faith is by noticing your upsets. When you get upset, you may find that the reason you're upset is because you're putting your faith in the world in a certain circumstance. For example, you're saying, I need things to be this way in order for me to feel happy. Or I need things to be this way in order for me to feel secure. Or I need things to be this way in order for me to feel loved, right? And that means you're putting your faith in the world. And you want to start noticing this, because until you notice it, you can't change it and decide to allow things to be as they are in the world and put your faith with God. So again, you must look at your faith and see where you are placing it before you can choose to place it with me. Many believe they have placed their faith in God, when truly they have placed their faith in men and the world. Truly, I say to you, look at your faith honestly. In what do you believe? In what do you trust? And if it is not placed firmly with me in all things, are you willing to choose again? This will help you to shift from the world being a distraction to the world being your spiritual path by placing your faith in all things with God, or with truth, or with the universe as a benign power that you cannot see, a mysterious power you cannot see, but you trust. Placing your faith with that instead of with the world as you understand it is going to help you shift from distraction to spiritual path. The reading continues. The call to truth is within you. Only by answering the call and receiving my guidance will you know what calls. Listen to me. And I love it whenever NTI says listen to me, because that means that the Holy Spirit is giving us a key. This is one of the keys to the kingdom. So by looking at where we place our faith and by shifting our faith to God, this is one of the keys to the kingdom. So listen to me, the Holy Spirit says. It continues. The belief in separation is the death of the Son of God, and yet you choose to put your faith there. For that which is whole cannot be separate and live. To live, it must be one. So this is telling us, of course, that we have put our faith with the belief in separation, which means we have put our faith with the idea that I am this person, you are that person, and there's no connection between us, and I need to look out for number one. Or I need to look out for my family, or I need to look out for my company, or I need to look out for my country. But it's always about me and mine, and that's what's most important. And everything that isn't me or mine is less important and could even be the enemy, depending on the circumstance and the moment. This is where we've placed our faith. And it says, this kills the Son of God. Now, it doesn't literally kill the Son of God. It kills our awareness of the Son of God. Let me just share my screen quickly again and remind you of what that term Son of God means. Son of God is referring to what I call the second principle of God, which is, unity consciousness. In other words, the Son of God is the I am presence, but that I am presence is not the individual. That I am presence is divine subject awareness, unity consciousness, that which sees everything as itself, all one, right? Oneness. And this is true. It's not absolute truth. Absolute truth is above that. But this is true, and this is always true. But when we believe in the fourth principle of God, the idea that I am a person, separation, we do not see this. We're not aware of the second principle of God. Therefore, in that way, it has been killed, or in that way, it is dead. Not that it actually has been killed or it's actually been dead, but we have absolutely no awareness of it. So again, if we look back at our reading, the belief in separation is the death of the Son of God. And yet you choose to put your faith there. For that which is whole cannot be separate and live. To live, it must be one. Your expectations confuse you. And this is referring to having different expectations on different people based on different relationships. All of these expectations are based on the belief in separation. Your expectations confuse you. Let go of them and listen to me. Here we are again. I'm giving you a key to the kingdom. Listen to me, one word at a time. That means very carefully. The Son of God cannot die because the Son of God cannot be separate. In other words, this whole idea of separation, this whole idea of yourself as a person is an illusion. It's not true. But in your belief that he is separate, you will find the belief in death. And that belief will seem real to you as long as the belief in separation also seems real. What happens when we believe in separation is that we believe life is in the body. And in fact, we actually believe that life comes from the body. It's the fact that the brain is operating, that the heart is operating, that the liver is operating, etc. This is what allows life to exist in the body. And once the brain, the heart, the liver, etc., quit operating, life ends. But that's totally focused on the body. That's totally focused on the body as me. If I see myself as that consciousness, life force that is in all things, if I see myself as that, then I know that when this body ends, consciousness has not ended, life force has not ended, therefore I have not ended. But if I limit myself to this body, when the body dies, the perception is that I die. Or when my parents' body dies, the perception is their body died. So what this is saying is, as long as you believe in separation, as long as you believe you're a person, then you're going to believe there is death when a body dies. But if you awaken to the fact that you are not a person, that you are consciousness, life force in all things, then you'll see clearly that any body can end and and there is no death because life force just continues, right? So, in your belief in separation, you will find the belief in death. And that belief will seem real to you as long as the belief in separation also seems real. Then the reading shifts to a parable about a landowner and his tenants, in which the tenants saw the land as theirs and they wanted to fight for the land when really they were just renters and they should have paid their rent, which is in this story was paying a portion of the crop to the landowner. Excuse me. It says the answer to this parable is a simple one. As long as the tenants continue to believe they are separate and attacked, they will live as if they are separate and attacked, and that will be their experience. It matters not where they go, for they take themselves with them. You know, one of the things that we do in this world is we'll judge a certain separation, we'll judge a certain problem, a certain situation as our problem. You know, we'll say, this marriage is my problem, this job is my problem. I've known people say, this church is my problem. The people here at this church are my problem. You know, we define certain situations as the problem. And we say, if I leave this situation and get into a new situation, my problems will disappear. That's the basic idea here is, you know, if we can change the situation, the tenants think, then our problems will disappear. And this is saying that is not true because the real problem is the belief in separation. The real problem is seeing a me and a mine and those who are not me and those who are not mine. And conflict is always going to come from this perception. So even if I leave this marriage, I'm still going to have conflict in my life. Even if I leave this job to a new job, there's still going to be conflict. If I leave this church and go to a new church, I'm going to find conflict there. It doesn't really matter. That's what it means by it matters not where they go, for they take themselves with them. The problem isn't the situation. The problem is the perspective of the belief in separation. This is the problem. A Course in Miracles refers to one problem, one solution. The one problem is the belief in separation, and the one solution is awakening from that. And that is what this parable points to. It says, when they open their eyes and realize they have never been treated unfairly and they have never been attacked, their perception of being attacked will end. This is how it is for you. For what is in your mind is in your world. I believe separation. I see and experience separation. However, the opposite is true too. If the belief in separation is healed and I perceive and I feel oneness within, I perceive oneness in the world. That's true perception. That changes everything. So, what is in your mind is in your world. And again, it is in your mind and in your world because you willed it to be there or you allow it to be there. You allow that belief in separation to be present. And of course, this week we practiced with that, right? The belief is separation is in my mind because I have allowed it to be there, right? Or something similar to that is what we practiced this week. So you must lay down your will, or you must lay down your willingness to believe in the belief in separation, just as the tenants must lay down their implements of war. Only in this way will there be peace, by laying down the belief in separation. Only in this way will there be peace. And then again, listen to me. I mean, I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom to hear me, but not to practice what I say is not to listen. And so I say to you, listen to me. It is the message of love. And so as we go forward, we want to practice laying down our belief in separation. And of course, I've put these practices in the curriculum One of the practices you've been practicing over and over and over and over and over again is the superconductor practice. This is allowing literally the belief in separation to move right on through. When you're practice letting go of annoyance and feeling disgusted and being pissed off, all of these things come from the belief in separation. So when you're practicing remembering the situation where you were annoyed or remembering the situation where you were pissed off, bringing that back into your mind and then letting it move on through, you are literally rehearsing letting go of the belief in separation. And you're going to get so good at it that every time that belief rises up in your life, you're going to be able to face it right then, become the superconductor, and let it go. That's the practice. And as this says, listen to me, to hear me, right? To say, oh, yeah, I believe we're all one, but still to get pissed off all the time or still to get annoyed with everyone, right? Is not to listen because you're still clinging to, you're still putting your faith with the separation. So listen to me, to hear me, but not to practice what I say is not to listen. And so I say to you, listen to me. It is the message of love. And when we were back in NTI Matthew chapter 7, let me read to you something from that chapter. There was a man named Ken who used to teach NTI, and he used to call this the Spirit's admonition. This is NTI Matthew chapter 7, verse 6. Do not take my words lightly without practice, for to listen and to agree, but not to practice, is not to have heard. And one who will not hear cannot be healed. And again, all the practices are written right into the curriculum. It's just a matter of really doing what the curriculum asks you to do instead of skipping this or forgetting about this or taking a shortcut here. It's a simple curriculum. It doesn't take a lot of time. And so again, I ask that you commit yourself to the curriculum. Even if you haven't in the past, start right now. Start today. Oh yeah, these are the sentences that we practiced this week, which really help prepare us to let go of separation. Separation is a purpose I have allowed in my mind. That is why I judge, right? Whenever you judge, you're separating someone from you, whether you judge them as too fat, too thin, talking too much, thinking they know it all, being too rude, being racist, whatever you judge them as, you're saying they're not me, not me, not me, separate from me, separate from me, separate from me, right? So separation is a purpose I have allowed in my mind. That is why I judge. I judge because I have allowed separation in my mind. And this is continually giving me that experience of separation, all of these judgments. And of course, on another day, we said separation is a purpose I have allowed in my mind. Now I am willing to let it go. And we've practiced being the superconductor with judgment, right? When we notice judgment, paying attention to what judgment feels like, and then being the superconductor with judgment. And again, being the superconductor is letting it go. In Matthew 22, NTI Matthew 22, it talked about our life as the journey to God, right? It used the wedding banquet as the symbol of joining. And it talked about how the journey may seem long, it may seem short, right? There may be a lot of distractions or there may be few. But it also said that in reality, we're already joined. So in reality, the journey is over, whether it appears that way or not. And NTI Matthew 22 said, your Father, of course, is right. You are joined and at the wedding banquet. But the dream of the world keeps you from knowing this is true. Awaken from the dream by accepting the truth. The journey to acceptance is the journey to heaven. Accept the truth and you are there. Sometimes people call the spiritual path the journey to nowhere. Because again, if I share my screen and show you the 4 principles of God, in reality, we are pure, unmanifest life intelligence. We appear to have become this divine subject awareness, unity consciousness, which then created a creative process, which results in what appears to be a world full of people. But this is all illusion. Even the unity consciousness ultimately is illusion, because in reality, we are pure, unmanifest life intelligence, isness, right? That's the truth of what we are. So we are already here. And this is what the Father knows, because the Father, of course, is the awareness of here. But we seem to be journeying from the 4th principle of God into the 3rd principle of God, into the 2nd principle of God, before we awaken to the 1st principle of God. But all we really have to do is accept that this is what we are, genuinely accept it, not just intellectually. It has to be accepted at, what I like to call a soul level. But that's really all we need to do. So the question is, again, where are we putting our faith? Am I putting my faith in the world, saying this is the truth through how I'm acting, believing, reacting, getting upset? Or am I allowing myself to be the superconductor and move all of that through so that I'm removing my belief from the world and accepting that there is something beyond the world that is true? The journey to acceptance is the journey to heaven. Accept the truth and you are there. And let me share something from NTI Matthew chapter 23. This was our last reading this week. It begins at the bottom of page 48. It says, all things within the world serve one of 2 purposes. They either distract you from heaven and tie you to the world, which is that 4th principle of God, or they free you from the world and bring you closer to heaven. You begin to rise up through the 3rd and the 2nd principles of God towards the 1st principle of God. All things within the world serve one of 2 purposes. They either distract you from heaven and tie you to the world, or they free you from the world and bring you closer to the awareness of heaven. Again, your life in the world is your spiritual path if you use it to let go of believing in the world. If you are becoming that superconductor, as the instructions are continually giving you on your daily exercises, right? If you're becoming the superconductor, letting everything move through, letting go, you're using the world and what comes up in the world to let go of your belief in the world and let go of your belief in yourself as a person, and that's awakening you to heaven. Or you're continuing to believe everything, you're continuing to react from me and mine, and you're tying yourself formally to the world. So again, especially as we go into this new week, we're really going to be looking at the possibility that the world can be a distraction or the world can be our path. And we want to pay attention to how we're using our experiences throughout the day. Am I clinging to the world? Or am I letting go of the world, being the superconductor with what arises? One other thing that we're going to be doing in this coming week is we're shifting our meditation technique. Instead of doing the brain relaxation, we are now going to shift into a type of meditation that I call appreciating life. And the way the appreciating life meditation works, and you practiced it a little bit with the audio over the weekend, is that you just get still, and you can do it with your eyes open if you have trouble staying awake. I like to close my eyes. And you just notice. And, you notice sounds in the environment. You notice what's going on with the body. The focus is on moving attention away from thought or away from being caught up in thought and distracted by thought to just noticing. You can notice there are thoughts, but you just don't want to be really engaged in the story. You can notice the breath, dryness of mouth, air on the skin, sounds in the distance, whatever is present. And then when you feel really centered in that noticing, you notice that everything is shifting and changing. Even your attention is moving around from one thing to another. While you appear to be sitting here doing absolutely nothing, there's still lots of movement, lots of action, a lot of aliveness. This is appreciating life. There's a lot of aliveness happening all of the time. A lot of different forms, a lot of different manifestations. You can even notice a lot of different kinds of feelings in the body, a lot of different kinds of sounds in the environment. And then also, once you get really centered in noticing that movement, you want to notice that your awareness is this still emptiness, that the sensations are moving, the sounds are shifting and changing, but the awareness is empty and still. It's like everything is happening within it. It alone is silent and still, and yet, of course, it's very much alive. And so you can appreciate that life too, right? The awareness is the empty, still aspect of life, and manifestation is the moving, changing aspect of life. And you just appreciate both. Now, this week, let me see how much time you'll be asked to do this meditation. I think it's 7 minutes. So there's not a lot of time. So you may not move through all of those stages of noticing in 7 minutes. If you only are just noticing sounds and feelings, and that's all you're doing, that's fine. If you then happen to appreciate the movement, the variety, the abundance of manifestation, that's fine. And if you happen to move on to noticing yourself as empty awareness, noticing that it is also life, but it doesn't have that quality of manifestation, it doesn't have that quality of change, that's also fine. As far as you go in the appreciating life, meditation is fine in that 7 minutes. Now, of course, if you have more than 7 minutes, you can practice appreciating life longer, right? That's up to you. But at least do the 7 minutes every day. If you really like the brain relaxation meditation, sometimes what I like to do is I use this app called the Insight Timer. This is what the Insight Timer looks like. And when you open up this app, you can click on the little timer icon, and you can set both a duration, but you can also set an interval bell. So let's say you have 20 minutes for meditation. You could set a duration of 20 minutes, but then you could set an interval bell for maybe 5 minutes, and you could practice brain relaxation for 5 minutes. And then when that interval bell goes off, shift to appreciating life. So you can actually put the two meditations together if you have the time and if you want to. So however you feel to do this, but at a minimum, practice appreciating life for 7 minutes on the days that that's assigned. And it's time for me to go. So I will see you next week. Don't forget to pick out a practice from the previous week that we just experienced to review throughout the day tomorrow. Or if you're watching this video early in the morning on Tuesday, then that, of course, would be throughout the day today. All right. Have a good day, a good week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.